Hello, today we will be looking at a new indie dyer, for me at any rate. She's been around for a little while, but I think she's particularly talented, and so I'm excited to share with you what I received from her. Also, I'm going to be sharing a Hobbii yarn haul with you. It was kind of a big sale they had, and so the yarn I purchased from them is also some of the yarn I will be using with a pattern I'm going to be reviewing with you. So basically, I am revealing indie yarn. I am reviewing a pattern, and I am sharing a yarn haul for which I will be making an item from the pattern with. So all of this is going to be very interesting, and I hope you think so too. Hi, my name is Sid. This is Crochet and Fiber, and you of course are always welcomed here. If you enjoy watching this content as much as I enjoy filming it, please subscribe and leave a like. These are really simple steps you can take to help support the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything but your time and interest, and it allows me to be able to make more content that I hope you find relevant and as fun and interesting as I do. So let's just go ahead and get started with this next clip that was filmed a few months ago, but that's perfectly okay because, well, it's all relevant really. Yarn, beautiful yarn. It doesn't really go out of style, and the trends, well, you know, in the world of art, trends are what you make of them, right? Trends are what you enjoy, what you love, what you want to participate in. Well, it's that time of the month again. Yarn. You thought I'd say something else, didn't you? Nope, it's yarn time. Wonderful, beautiful yarn. My guilty pleasure. Well, I don't feel so guilty about it, but it's still my pleasure. So this month's yarn is coming from a company by the name of Color My Fiber. The woman who runs it goes by the name of Barbara. I believe that's who that is. And she is another one of those very talented dyers. I purchased this on Etsy. This really was very much an impulse buy, if you will. The price wasn't terrible. It was okay, but it was just beautiful. She does batches, and she doesn't keep a running collection. So the way I think I understand it is that she makes her collection, you know, she runs her batch, and when that's gone, that's gone. So there was this one set of minis that I had my eye on for quite a while. And eventually we just came right down to the very last set that she had available, and I don't know that she was going to get any more or make any more of this particular colorway. So I bought it. And I'm really excited to see what it looks like in real life. Now, if you love this yarn, but as of the time of recording this video, she didn't have any more in. It was all sold out. And of course, I suspect she won't get any more in. Still, I encourage you to check out her Etsy shop, Color My Fiber. She runs these different collections, different sets of colorways. And as I said before, beautiful, just beautiful. I'm sure there's something there you're going to like. And while you're not going to save any money, you're certainly not going to spend a huge exorbitant amount either. It's a little on the higher end, but I personally think she's probably worth it. Well, obviously, I thought she was worth it because I paid for it. So I know what I got, and what I received from her was her set of minis titled Mini Crested French Bill Fade Set. It's a fingering, hand-dyed yarn for socks, shawls, sweaters, and hats. I also paired it with another yarn that she had, a solid yarn. It was a merino nylon. It's plum burgundy color, semi-solid fingering weight, hand-dyed yarn for socks, shawls, sweaters, and scarves. Now, I hope I got enough. I don't know that I got enough. So I'm crossing my fingers because I got about 300 grams of that, 3 hanks. So yeah, I don't know. She was running low on that. I think if I want more, she might have more available, but you know, if not, I'll figure it out. Famous last words, right? You know what I'm talking about. All right. So let me see what she says about this yarn. Okay, so the yarn that we're using is a merino and nylon blend, 80% merino, 20% nylon. You're going to get 115 grams. Now, I'm pretty much thinking the 115 grams is the burgundy yarn that I purchased. So that's okay. That's not bad. I'm going to get 400 meters for that. Each skein is dyed in small batches in our smoke-free studio using professional, environmentally friendly acid dyes. No two skeins are identical, even if they come from the same dye lot. And this is so very true. So you want to alternate your skeins if that's the case, and it just kind of evens things out, levels things out a little bit when you're working it together. But personally, I kind of like the slight variation that a hand-dyed yarn comes with anyways. Okay, so this is what I paid. So for the mini crested French, let me try this again. The mini crested finch bill fade. So it's basically inspired by the little finch bill bird. Beautiful. Set of fingering hand-dyed yarn. So I paid $46 for that. And then for the plum burgundy semi-solid skeins, I paid $23.27 for each one of those. And that was actually a really good price. So I can't complain about that. It came to a total of $116. I did have a little bit of a coupon for shopping there. So I got about $6 in discount. The shipping itself came to a total of $27, almost $28, and that's because it was coming from Bessard, Canada. Bessard. At any rate, she did refund me some money to compensate for some of that shipping because I bought everything together, so shipping wasn't so much on her side. So she pretty much refunded me another $10. So totally at the end of all of this with shipping, I paid $128.31. So that wasn't terrible. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't too expensive, but you know, I wasn't getting any great deals or anything. But I'm sure it was well worth the cost. So let's see what I got. So this is my bag. I'm going to go ahead and open it now. Ooh, all right. So I'm really extremely pleased with what I'm looking at here. So these are my burgundy colors. Aren't those luscious? I am really, really excited about these. Just beautiful. All right, let's take a look at what else we've got. So now this is one of those sets where the gradation and the fade all work together. So the set is dyed and meant to be worked as the fade is presented. So let me start with, I don't think I'm going to have them in order. Let me see if I can do this. Okay. So the first one I'm going to show you is what they call another artichoke. Isn't that beautiful? And then, of course, at the end of this, I'll lay it all out so that you can get a view of what it looks like all together. And then the next one is another artichoke dark. So that's lovely. I really love the colorway. This is just so much nicer looking in person. I wasn't really sure, you know, because computer screens can give you kind of off colors, right? Then we have light crested finch bill. So that beautiful green, it has what looks like just like super soft little notes of blue in there, just a touch. It's beautiful. And then I have crested finch bill. So this is going to be the next step up in color. Isn't that gorgeous? Just lovely. So the next color we're going to get is the dark crested finchbill. Look at that. Like I said, this artist, they do a beautiful job. They do a beautiful job out of their studios. You really need to check out their other collections. Just gorgeous. Next, we've got the ultra dark finchbill, crested finchbill. So look at that. I don't know what I'm going to make with this yet, but I'm excited to make something. I was thinking maybe a sweater, but I don't know if I have enough of the plum. I think I might have screwed the pooch on that one by not getting enough of this burgundy when I had the chance, but we'll figure it out. The next one I have is called Dark Choco. Isn't that pretty? I love this brown, it's almost like a dark variegated brown. It's just beautiful. And then last but not least is going to be the Ultra Dark Choco. So this is that, it's even darker and much lighter variation in the color scheme, but still quite a beautiful color brown. So let me go ahead and show you what these look like together. Is that just not beautiful? Let me know what you think. Check out her site there at Color My Fiber and let me know what you think of her site there. Okay, so now the next yarn I'm going to show you, or yarns, is actually from Hobbii. Now, I've already opened this bag, not because I was trying to cheat myself for anyone else. I already knew what I ordered, but the bag came and there was a big tear in it. So I needed to open it up just to make sure that everything was there. Nothing was lost in that shipping. So there again, you know, this is coming over from the UK, not the UK, but from Europe. And sometimes I think, you know, customs likes to get a little peek occasionally in these packages coming over. And sometimes they just get caught on the conveyor belts and things happen. So I just wanted to make sure that all the yarn that I ordered was still in there. And this is really quite a large bag. See? Yeah. And I'm showing you this because I want to make a sweater from what's in this bag. And I'm trying to stick with indie dyers. However, this time around, you know, in order to get the amount of yarn in the colorway I was looking to get it in, we were looking at over $300. And that's fine if you had the money, but I didn't have the money, and Hobbii was having a fantastic sale. So I went to Hobbii to see if maybe they had something in the colorway that I was looking for, because I purchased a pattern, a sweater pattern, that I'm really excited to make. But I kind of have it in my head to have like this specific colorway from the indie dyer. And so while this isn't an exact copy of that yarn, it's very close. At least the colors are similar. And so I went with Hobbii, and I'll show you what I got for $100 from Hobbii. What a deal. It was their big, you know, after the holidays kind of a sale, and I think they were just trying to dump a whole bunch of stock. And well, what they were trying to dump really fell right into the color palette that I was looking for. So let me go ahead and show you what I got for $100. So now, keeping in mind, I may have bought too much yarn, but the price was so good, and I just did not want to end up running short on yarn. I bought more than I think I needed, but I won't really know for sure until I actually make the sweater. So I purchased 16 skeins of this sock yarn, mostly because of the colorway. It was very inexpensive. And I'll do the breakdown here when I'm finished showing the yarn. So this yarn, let's see, what do we got going on with this yarn? Okay, so this yarn is a 75% virgin wool and a 25% polyamide. Each skein is 50 grams, and for our 50 grams, we're going to get 210 meters. And as you can see, there's a bit of a pattern that it knits up to, but I'm going to be crocheting, so it's going to be interesting to see what the pattern works out like. So the next color I got for this sweater, and sorry for the crinkles, is 8 of these skeins of wool. Okay, so this is Hobbie's Friend Sock Wool. Now this is 75% wool and 25% polyamide. It's 50 grams, and again, for our 50 grams, we're going to get 210 meters. And I got 8 of these dark browns. And then I got the one more color. And this color is this light kind of sky blue color. It's also the Friends Sock Wool. So it's going to be the 75% wool and 25% polyamide. Now, my only problem with this was that I kind of had to guess on color. So the blues don't exactly match, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. I was hoping they would match better according to what I saw on my computer screen. So I haven't decided if I'm going to still use this blue or not, but I'm still thinking about it. I have time, and you can see the 3 basic colors for this sweater that I want to use. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably crochet up kind of a little swatch with the 3 colors and see how they work together once the crochet fabric pattern is in. That might change my mind one way or another. So that's going to be a little experimentation. So really, at the end of the day, I got 30 skeins of yarn for $100. So Hobbii is a great place to go. You can go to a number of the other places too, but Hobbii just happens to be the one that I'm showing, where you can get a decent quality natural fiber yarn, especially if you hit them on their sales, for really quite a reasonable amount of money. You don't spend much more or too much even different than what you might spend on a value acrylic yarn that you would get at a craft store. Okay, so I finally decided that I wasn't going to use the light blue yarn that I had purchased from Hobbii. I'm going to put that aside and use it on another project because the colorway of it just really wasn't floating my boat. It really wasn't matching the Mars sock yarn colorway that I had purchased, you know, the multicolored sock yarn. So what I did do, however, is I happen to have several skeins of a vintage yarn from Patons, sorry. And it was from an older collection that they ran called Impressions Hand-Dyed Wool. Now, the colorway was really quite perfect. It matched and did exactly what I needed it to do in terms of color and palette. My only concern with it is the yarn itself was really more of a DK weight, and I happen to be working with fingering weight in terms of, you know, sock yarn, in terms of the yarn that I was using for this piece. But I decided to experiment and work with it, and it did give me a different texture than what the sweater was. I mean, and I had to make a couple of adjustments in terms of, you know, sizing for the garment, but otherwise I was really pleased with the way it turned out, and I was really actually quite happy to have the kind of the different textures that came about as a result of having a chunkier, different texture kind of yarn mixed with that sock yarn. Now, in terms of the Mars multicolored sock yarn, yeah, I really overbought on that. I basically used 4 skeins of that, and I had like 16. So I've got like 12 skeins of that will find its way into another project eventually. And then in terms of the vintage Paton's impression yarn, well, I had 8 skeins of that, and I used 3. So I still have plenty more of my vintage yarn to use on a different project sometime in the future. Now, in terms of the Friends sock wool, the dark brown, I purchased 8 skeins of those, and I'm glad I did because I used like 7.5 of those skeins. So I wasn't quite playing yarn chicken, but I came quite close. Now, in terms of the pattern that I used a pattern. I purchased a pattern from Lilla Bjorn Crochet. And what I did was I purchased the Huldra sweater. Now, I really liked it a lot. Clearly I used a different yarn than she did. The yarn in my sweater were of different textures and different weights, which worked out fine for me, but it gives my sweater a little different look than the sweater she chose in her examples. But no bother. The sweater was great. It worked up great. I thought the sizing was pretty much on par. Instructions were easy to follow. I would definitely do another one of her patterns. I didn't feel like there was any point in it that I was actually confused. Now, I did make some modifications. So I like a longer sweater. So I made my sweater longer, right? It didn't change the pattern any. I just added extra rounds. Also, I wanted a cuff on my sweater, so you can see the cuff. And so I went and modified the pattern a little bit to give myself a cuff. I gave myself a little bit of a longer forearm in terms of the colorway and pattern. That's her pattern from her piece. I just lengthened it so that I could have more of that pattern on my arm. Because after all, had I not done it like this, I probably would have run out of my brown. So I was kind of, well, I don't know. I guess I was sort of playing yarn chicken. I had to come up with some creative ways to make my brown yarn, my brown wool, work within the pattern because I didn't quite have enough of it. So I used it right down to, yeah, just like half a skein left. Also, another thing that I did with this pattern was the yoke. So in her yoke comes about right here. So you can see it right here on me. And I like on a sweater like this, I want more of a yoke, something to cover up my neck more. So I just modified the pattern just to give me more coverage up in this section. And then in terms of binding off the neck, or I just basically did a reverse single crochet, just to do a little different clean edge on the neck of this sweater. And that was what I did. I'm really pleased, again, like I said, with the way it turned out. Even there were some experimental aspects to it in terms of using different weight yarns together, modifying things just a little bit to better fit my taste. But she made it real easy to do that with this pattern. I really like the look of it. I like this kind of, I don't know, it reminds me of maybe like enamel wear a little bit, the pattern, the design. I like this. I was so happy that it worked out so well because, well, these things take a long time and it requires a certain amount of material that isn't typically cheap or inexpensive. So to have it turn out as well as it did, even with the experimentation that I did with it, the stepping away and using a slightly different yarn or combination of yarns in conjunction with her pattern. So now, while I was working on this sweater, there were times that I wasn't so sure. There was basically an aspect to the back of the sweater that made me wonder if it was going to turn out okay. But I'm telling you, it absolutely did turn out okay. And then once I was finished making the sweater itself, I gently hand washed it. I blocked it, and all my concerns completely fell away. Everything just bloomed and settled right into place. I'm really pleased with the fit. I couldn't ask for, well, I guess I could ask for a little better fit in terms of a sweater, but human bodies are human bodies and we don't always get that perfect fit. But in terms of a pattern for myself, I was really, really happy with the fit. I'm a heavier busted woman, and so I need a little more room, something that's not too tight, and then fits kind of the rest of my body better. I got broad shoulders, I got boobs. Um, I'm a little heavier weight person, and so sometimes, well, not sometimes, typically I have to play with my clothing a little bit in order to get a fit. And if I'm going to spend this kind of money on nice yarn for a nice quality sweater that I'm going to spend time making, then I want the fit to be appropriate. I want it to look good on me in terms of my body shape. And I already know sometimes I have to go in and play with things a little bit and make modifications and do some adjusting. And that's fine. And this designer's piece was really really easy in terms of any of these slight modifications I felt that I needed to make for myself. I was able to incorporate them into her pattern quite nicely and quite easily and without much concern or worry. So would I recommend her? Yes, I would recommend. Can say so. I don't know if you can see. Oh, I don't know how well you can see, but yeah, the sweater works out quite nicely for me. All right, now, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And until we meet again, stay amazing and stay very creative. Bye-bye now.